el podcast de ContrastMallorca con David Rigo.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Y bienvenidos a este segundo podcast de ContrastMallorca, festival que se celebrará en Palma los días 23, 25 y 26 de diciembre en el Teatre Chess Fortesa. Recordamos que el día 25 tendremos a Greg Hedson, miembro de los Circle Jerks y casi 30 años en Bad Religion, y el 26 de diciembre Clem Burke de Blondie nos presentará el documental sobre su carrera. Para el episodio número 3 ya hablaremos detenidamente y ampliamente del artista que nos acompañará el día 23 de diciembre. Seguramente nosotros, como todos vosotros, estos días estáis leyendo los periódicos, escuchando por la radio, viendo por la tele, obviamente viendo por internet, que se están cancelando grandes conciertos, se están cancelando macrofestivales, los grandes museos no saben cómo hacerlo para abrir y si lo hacen lo harán de una manera muy reducida y con muchas medidas de seguridad, obviamente. Pero no por eso dejará de haber música o algunos museos dejarán de existir. Sin ir más lejos, aquí en Palma, ¿cuánta gente igual no ha visitado Juan Balaguer? Puede ir a ver por primera vez, porque seguro que muchos no han estado, ver las exposiciones del Casal Sulleric, ir a Esbaluart, a ver exposiciones de arte contemporáneo, darse un paseo por Palma y visitar galerías privadas, no sé, Palairas, l'Orrac Moyà. Por la noche disfrutar de conciertos de pequeño formato, como los que hacían hasta hace 4 días antes de que empezara todo en Casaplanas. Allí de los últimos que vimos fueron los australianos de Steams y realmente fue una cosa espectacular. Anteriormente habíamos visto a los Posies o a su cantante Ken Stringfellow en solitario. Y es que toda esta situación un día me llevó a pensar una cosa que nos sucedió a mí y a otra persona en Sevilla hace unos años. Y es que estábamos de gira con el grupo de Coup, que precisamente es el grupo con el que acabamos el podcast anterior, es decir, el episodio número 1. Pues bien, estábamos en Sevilla con The Coup, teníamos día libre y Boots Riley, su cantante, me dice: va, David, vamos a dar una vuelta por Sevilla, que no he estado nunca, y aprovechando que teníamos día libre, pues quiero visitar un poco la ciudad. Y digo, vale, pues perfecto. Salimos por la tarde, tranquilamente. No habíamos caído que había un Madrid-Barça de fútbol, casi todos los bares llenos, casi todas las terrazas llenas, pero encontramos un huequecito. Nos sentamos, nos pedimos unos refrescos, empezamos a hablar. De repente Boots se calla, deja de mirarme, veo que gira la cabeza, sin decirme nada más, se levanta y pasó lo que vais a escuchar.
Apaño un firmamento de niña a la locura, nomás que no me pachura y no me pachura y te pena de niño, nomás que no me pachura y no me pachura y te pena de niño, yo lua, obrigado de lua, y me lo mi consejo como tú no hay ninguna, apaño un firmamento de niña a la locura.
Every death is an abrupt one. Every cop is a corrupt one. When on the cash up in the trust fund. Every cat with a gap wanna bust one. Every guest want a +1. Every tenement's a penitent. So every tribe, man, it's innocent. Time served should be the sentence pen. Everybody wanna hit a lick. Every one of y'all is getting pimped. Every time I spit up in a rip. Every cancer's a homicide. Every boss better run high. Every human is some kin of black. Every beast got a pin to crack. Every verses from the cardiac. Every search is involuntary. Every inmate want commissary. Every bank known as promissory. Every broke motherfucker finna form a gang. When we come, we're taking everything. Everybody throw your lights up. Tell me y'all finna fight or what? Everybody get your shit started. This is y'all motherfucking party. Everybody throw your lights up. Tell me y'all finna fight or what? Everybody get your shit started. This is y'all motherfucking party.
Vaya personaje, le diga a mi madre, me encuentro yo prima, cuando mi alma sale. Vaya personaje, le diga a mi madre, se encuentra mi alma, cuando ella me sabe.
Every Mac want a Cadillac. Every Mark want their Skrilla back. Every knock wanna hit a crack. In a park or a Pontiac. Where every little sin is to the rent. And every roach is a resident. Every truth ain't evident. Every slave story present tense. Every uprising consequence. Every time it be something sweet. Every banker's a fucking thief. Everybody better holler with me. Every fiend need $1.50. Every crime that I did was petty. Every criminal is rich already. Every landlord got a complex. Every single is a bomb threat. Every cello mayor hate my verse. Everybody, they gon' get it first. Every broke motherfucker finna form a gang. When we come, we taking everything. Everybody throw your lighters up. Tell me y'all finna fight or what? Everybody get your shit started. This is y'all motherfucking party. Gracias.
Y esto es lo que pasó. Boots se juntó con un cantante callejero llamado Antonio Saavedra y entre los dos empezaron a improvisar. Ni luces, ni micrófonos, ni grandes escenarios, ni toda la parafernalia que nos tenían acostumbrados. Una guitarra, 2 personas, un teléfono móvil y salió lo que acabamos de escuchar. Pero más que explicarlo yo, vamos a coger el teléfono y vamos a hablar con Boots Riley y él mismo nos lo va a contar. Hello, Boots. It's nice to talking to you again. How things are doing here in the Bay Area in Oakland, California?
Oh man, it's good actually. You know, I'm getting a lot more work done because the quarantine. So everything that I was behind on, you know, all these writing projects, I'm catching up with, but also spending time with family. So, you know, and then also able to get like a schedule where I'm exercising every day and spending time with family and working. So I never really have it this way because I'm always I'm just always working because I've always lined myself up with so many projects, too many to actually do. And so I'm always, I'm always going all day. When I'm not working, I'm usually worried about the fact that I'm not working.
You know, but in the beginning of that podcast, I was talking they're canceling big events, big festivals, but it doesn't mean that music is disappearing. For instance, I remember when you jumped out of the seat in the terrace in Sevilla and you start jamming with a flamenco singer. You remember that?
Yeah. I mean, we were at a cafe in Sevilla and this dude just came up and I felt the beat and he turned the camera on selfie and he was just ready to go. And then I think it got played, you know, it went viral and then it also got played by radio stations and stuff like that too.
So you think it's a good time to have the music back into the streets and back to more local places, be more local, doesn't have to be that huge events. People can really enjoy having smaller events, and enjoying the music anyway. You don't have to be with 20,000 people to enjoy music or any kind of art.
I think it already is that way to a certain extent. Like, put it like this: like in the '90s, you had to have a record deal. I mean, at least in the U.S., like for a lot of people to know about you, you had to have a record deal, and someone put you out and you tour, and and so there were less people that could do that. But then more recently, like somebody could just have a song and it goes viral or something like that, or they, or they play locally. I think it's getting more to like the time when everybody can do music, like, right? Like you can have some other job and do music. You can, do it, and you can get it out to people. We need more but what we do need is more local venues in each area, like that are supported by the local audiences. I don't know how it is right there where you are, but here we do have local venues, but it's not really performance based, right? It's more like bars, hanging out, DJs, and then the performance venues, there's only a few of them. And then of course there's the big performance venues that bring in people from out of town. But I think the key is more locally based music, and what that will mean is people performing on the street. And especially right now in this time, people could get on the back of a truck and put a sound system and drive through neighborhoods playing their music, because or just bringing the live music to the people.
I remember reading an interview that I did to you. You mentioned something like music can help to change the system. Is like that?
No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I said that music can help build a movement, but only a movement is going to actually change the system. Only a movement that is able to withhold labor is going to actually change the system. But music can help build that movement. So yeah, you're right. But the important distinction is that I think that music can help to build a movement that changes the system. Like, because so many artists are like, I made a song about what's wrong with the world, so I did my job. No, that's not it. You have to connect with actual movements that are there. When we came to Madrid and did the tour, I don't know, was that our last tour when we did the Whiskey Straight tour?
It was last one.
Where we connected with the striking coke workers and tried to connect the music to a thing that was happening outside of the music.
So with that situation that you're mentioning, wouldn't be a right time to have the Coup back on the road again?
Except I don't know what's happening with the Coup, because, like with these movies, I'm getting way more people to see it than we're listening to the music. So I think that the Coup I'm going to be making the music for all the film and TV that I'm doing, and then we'll tour. We'll do we'll do selected shows instead, because as you know, you don't want to be in a van with 8 other people for 10 hours a day if you don't have to. Like, I like being on stage, but the getting from one place to another is the hard part, right?
Yes, it was. And talking about the message, as you've been saying in the previous questions, you've been the only musician being listed in the WikiLeaks files. How does it feel like? I mean, you feel like concerned? You have the feeling they are spying you? What's your opinion?
I'm kind of agnostic about it because it's a little bit like worrying about breathing in pollution. You know you're going to breathe in pollution. You can't change the way you breathe, right? It's going to happen. And, if for any of us, if they want to observe us, whatever, they can do that. You can smash all your phones. You can never do an email and just go outside and they could watch you with satellite if they wanted to. So I'm not worried about it. I know that the thing that I want to do is, what I'm saying should happen with the world is, is something that I'll say in front of 10,000 people. And so I don't care if they're surveilling me and hearing me say it to one person on the phone, because the movement that we have to build is a mass movement, right? It's with millions of people, and so I can't let that worry me. But yeah, it is somewhat of a badge of honor. Like you're always wondering, are they paying attention to you or not? And then this WikiLeaks thing came out that basically showed that this spy agency was tracking me, and so you're like, oh, okay. I'm glad they're worried.
Let's listen to this.
Hoy nos visita, amigos, un grupo americano que está de gira por España por primera vez. Y les vimos y dijimos que vengan a La Sexta. Son de California y triunfan tanto por su música como por la personalidad de su líder, que me recuerda a un tío de Barcelona, pero de otro color. The Coup, adelante, vamos con ellos.
Come on, kid. Get around. Listen up. Magic Cloud. M-A-G-I-C-C-L-A-P. Let's go. M-A-G-I-C-C-L-A-P. Let's do it. Magic Cloud. Magic Cloud. It's like a hot wild baby when we put it together. When the sparks fly, we'll ignite the future forever. Cause the last hit, one never gave us correct. Like a paparazzi picture when I flash my red. Got stars on my back, tooth on my tongue. Got the money in my hand, now that long got drunk. We wanna breathe fire, freedom from our lungs and homeland security. We all come from Magic Cloud. Magic Cloud.
What's great to be talking about? It's how we move in the two extremes. For one side, in one tour, I think was the first one we ever did. You did the biggest late night show in Spain, the one we are listening now. And then the next tour, you went to support the Coca-Cola strikers. So you are always on the extremes, never in the middle.
No, they're both the same side. Because we were on the biggest late night show, trying to inspire people to join movements like the striking Coca-Cola workers. Although I don't think I had known about them yet by then. But so that's the whole point, is to use big platforms to inspire more people. So it's all the same thing. But yeah, there are, I probably, like, right after doing a big show like that, we might, perform, that was the same tour where we also, performed on the street with Ryan Saavedra.
And talking about the tours in Spain, we have to mention, we are obligated to mention Juan from El Dorado in Vitoria-Gasteiz. He was the first promoter who really believed in your music and the first one who really booked one of your shows. What are your thoughts of playing in El Dorado?
Oh, yeah. I love that place, El Dorado. That was like some of the most fun, that's the most fun place to play. I think that's probably our most fun venue out there was El Dorado, just as far as the crowd. So this is an advertisement to other musicians listening. When everything opens back up, go play El Dorado because the crowd will make you feel like you're the biggest superstar that ever lived.
All that ideology that you have was starting to grow when you joined the Progressive Labour Party. This is when everything changed for you, or was before or after?
It changed just before that, which is why I joined it. The moment was more maybe a few months before when I had started helping farm workers in the Central California Valley to organize their union, and so I was involved in summer projects at the age of 14, and after doing that, and seeing them do that be involved in this movement where they're organizing in the fields and in the neighborhoods and with a radical perspective, with the idea that these weren't just labor strikes. These were labor strikes that they were going to have that would build toward a larger movement, a larger radical movement that could overthrow capitalism. So they were connecting the steps on how to get there, right? And it was inspiring to me, and that's when I joined. Yeah.
You have your movie "Sorry to Bother You," which is also the title of an album. How was that? You made the album thinking to be a movie, or you had the movie in mind while you were composing the album?
I wrote the script. I probably finished writing it. Well, you never finish writing it, but I wrote the first draft maybe. Finished it in 2012, and so I started writing the album "Sorry to Bother You," thinking it would be the soundtrack to the movie. So it was inspired by the script already. So when we made that album, it was already inspired by the script. And matter of fact, if you have the hard copy of that original 2012 "Sorry to Bother You" album, on the inside it says that it's a soundtrack to a movie. Now, but by the time we got to make the movie, that 2012 album was older, and aesthetically I had changed my vision. My vision had developed for the movie, and so I wanted music that was new and fresh, and so we made new music for it. But this time we did, but then that album, we wanted a lot of publicity, wanted it to be well known, the 2018 album. And we signed with Interscope because they're a giant company. We're like, okay, cool. And then Interscope was like, look, this album has to be called "Sorry to Bother You" because it's with the movie and we want people to make that connection. And I was like, but we already have a 2012 album called "Sorry to Bother You." They're like, we're going to blow that publicity out of the water. Nobody's even going to remember that. They're going to know this. And I'm like, that didn't make any sense to me. So 2018, we have a whole new album with all different songs called "Sorry to Bother You," the soundtrack, which is also by the Coup. So I don't know if there's any band in history that has two albums with the same name. Two different albums with the same name. It's stupid. But but the new one is on vinyl now, and it says on the front, not to be confused with this the 2012 album of the same name by the same band. So hopefully that stops some confusion. But I'm a little sad because the 2018 album has a few songs that I really love that I'm sure we're gonna end up working into our show. But yeah, a lot of people that know about the Coup don't realize that it's a different album. So they're like, "Oh, I already heard that album," you know. So it's dumb. I wanted to call it The Sun Exploding because that's something that is said in the film. They didn't allow that to happen. And you know, it goes to show you get on a big label and you think that they're gonna do better than an indie label on promotion. You know, you think, oh, there's all sorts of bad things, but they've got money for promotion. It's gonna happen. And no. And you know, I'm sure Interscope has done beautifully for some other bands, but and they have, but we did better independently.
The movie here in Spain is called Perdona que te moleste. Do you like they changed the name and they overdub the dialogues?
They did overdub it? What? Well, I would love it if it was overdubbed because, you know, then more people see it that speak Spanish. Because subtitles here, subtitle movies, only like cinema lovers watch it if it's subtitled, right? Like I'll watch a subtitled movie. But my neighbors down the street, they're not gonna watch it if it's not in a spoken language they don't understand. They understand. Is it that same way there? Where are you right now?
You know, I'm in Mallorca right now.
That's not Catalan, is it?
No, then let's not start talking about politics, okay?
Everything is politics. There's nothing that we've said so far that is not politics. My good friend, Fermin Muguruza. So that's politics.
Yeah, some of the songs, some of the lyrics are.
But anyway, my point is, getting back to that, if it was overdubbed, I'd be overjoyed. But I think it was subtitled. Perdona, tell me the translated title again.
Perdona que te moleste.
I think when the movie played in Hong Kong, they changed it to something like, I don't know what it was. It's something that meant like workplace comedy or something like that.
Your movie was one of the biggest sensations in the Sundance Festival.
Yeah.
But why do you think you didn't get to the Oscars? Because you were very close, and was the rumor that you maybe were nominated.
That costs a lot of money to do that, right? So we did the campaign, but from the beginning, the studio made the decision. You know, they have a certain amount of movies, and so they have to decide in who they think has the best chance for it. So they, you know, if you don't buy advertisements in the trade magazines, for instance, which during that time, you know, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the ads, right? Then you got to do all this other stuff. So a campaign to actually get nominated is millions of dollars, right? So without spending that amount, you're not going to get nominated. So there's no way to get nominated if you don't spend that amount of money. You know, come out already in the summertime, then they didn't use the promotion and marketing budget towards the Oscar thing, which for me, I'm fine because I'd rather that money go towards average everyday people coming out to see it rather than, you know, just trying to woo the film industry into voting for it. But yeah, so that's it. Like if you don't spend those millions of dollars on it, you're not going to get nominated. If you don't spend the millions of dollars specifically just on a campaign to get nominated, then you don't get nominated. Then the question is, you know, like if you win, then that makes more people come see your movie. But if you just spend all these millions of dollars and you just get nominated, sometimes that doesn't make more people see your movie. So, you know, there's a big question about that.
You had a small differences with Spike Lee because you criticize a bit his movie, The Black Klansman. Everything's okay with him now?
Oh yeah. No, it went through a bunch of stages. One stage was he seemed to be real mad. You know, first of all, Spike Lee is always criticizing. He's always saying whatever he thinks, whatever he feels, right? Which is good. And so, but he was upset with me for saying it. And he, and you know, he at one party, he was like, you know, he started yelling at me or whatever. It was crazy. And then, but then at the next thing, you know, he was like, hey man, let's squash it. Squashed? And I was like, yeah, cool, squash. So yeah, it's all good now.
We've been spending a lot of time together talking about politics, about music, about this, about that. When I saw that you were supporting Bernie Sanders, I was shocked, not because it was Democrat or wherever, it's because you never, the word is not believed, that you said the politicians, after all, they belong to the big corporations. So how was that? Why you endorsed Bernie Sanders?
So as you know, also spending time with me, part of what I say is necessary to build, to have a revolution, right?
Yes.
Is you know, in order to build a movement where the people actually take back the means of production, is you have to, you know, in all of these revolutions, you have to get to a point where the working class is so radicalized that they're having general strikes. Like you can't just have like the cool people say that we need a revolution and everybody's like, yeah, they're right, and they join it. You actually, there's a specific thing that needs to happen, and there needs to be that you need to have general strikes that are able to shut down the economy, and then things go from there. Meaning, like usually the state comes down on that, and there's a battle. But to lead up to those general strikes, you also have to have a radical, mass, militant labor movement that's able to withhold labor along the way. That's built to that amount, that thing, by being able to withhold labor, to change not only working conditions but other broader societal things. Now, what was happening around it, my endorsement wasn't just because I think, oh, he's going to get in and pass the right laws or whatever. I had no idea whether you know, that was going to be able to happen or not, because you can't know the future. But what I did know was that there was a movement of millions of people who all of a sudden were calling themselves socialists. I'm just talking about young people all over the world, all over the country. And if folks are listening to this of a certain age, they might not remember, like just as short as 20 years ago, when, or not even 20, as short as like 13 years ago, when the idea of socialist, you know, someone outwardly calling themselves socialist in the United States or communist would be unheard of. Like when I went on media and I would say I'm a communist, people were like, "Oh my God, what is? How did? I've never heard anyone say that before." You know what I'm saying? And so there's a radical movement building around that campaign. And part of the tactic of getting the free health, what he was proposing was socialized medicine, free healthcare for everyone, free free public universities, certain things like that. And in order to get it, if he had become president, we would have had a president asking people to go on strike.
But you think that was going to happen?
Yeah, that was part of the tactic. That was part of the plan. That's the thing, is that they made a mistake in not wanting to say that out loud. But yeah, it was clear to everyone involved in the campaign that he wasn't going to be able to pass universal health care just through a vote. He's also, the pressure was going to have to come from in many of these districts where the Congress people would vote against it, is that the economy would have to shut down and force them to do it. So that was part of the tactic, is that from the biggest media platform in the world, you were going to have someone saying, the people want universal health care. I support the workers going on strike to make it happen. So we would have been in a situation that would propel radical thought in a giant way. And because in order to get to those things, he wasn't just saying, oh, we can vote them in. He was relying on this movement that was forming around him to be able to get folks to strike. And right now in the United States, we have partly because of the discussion that came around that campaign about what we need and who has what. We have the biggest strike wave in the United States happening right now since the 30s. Like, people are and so it wasn't because I was like, oh yeah, we elect a person and they solve the problems. That doesn't happen. But because he was willing to use his platform to call for people to strike in order to get and the development that would happen, whether that even won or lost, who knows whether that would still win. I think it would have. I think if you had strikes around that, it would. But the idea that someone in California is striking in solidarity with someone in Ohio in order to get this change in their life, that radicalizes millions of people right away.
And at the end, you have Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Those two are those are the same things, and I mean, we could get into exactly policy-wise how they're the same, because there are some people that'll be like, oh, if you don't vote, you're voting for Trump, but if you vote for Biden, you're voting for Trump too. You know what I'm saying? It's just one is a nicer Trump, one is a nicer speaking Trump. But they have just the same right-wing policies anyway.
Now with the pandemic, you can see all the difference that remains, or maybe getting bigger, the gaps. Because, Afro-Americans and Latinos are the ones who are suffering the most. So being in the 21st century seems like we're going backwards instead of getting more equal between each other.
The people that have the least access to medical care, the least access to, provisions for themselves to protect themselves and to the least access to healthy lifestyle, that's who's going to be affected most. And that's the kind of world we have right now. And that's the reason that we need a world in which, you know, the wealth that we create is something that we share, you know.
Why do you think they don't stand up and start a real revolution against that?
It goes into exactly what I was saying, that you have to have, there are steps before you can have a real revolution. If you look historically at the what you would call real revolutions, they always have that step, right? Even when people talk about Cuba, Fidel and Che didn't just jump on a boat and come over there. You know, that's how the story is told all the time. Like, they came and they sparked it and, you know, it was a military thing. But no, there was general strikes happening all over Cuba right then, which froze capital. And not only froze capital, but radicalized the whole working class even more of an extent than they already had been, and because it's large and participatory in nature. Because it also, what general strikes do is show people that they can win, because it shows people that there are a lot of people involved, and so they can win. It also shows people where that power is accessible, that it's not just in these people, that these, you know, that are at the top, that power is all around them if they act collectively.
Let's finish with that, with a positive message. What's your optimistic message you give to the people who are listening to us?
You know, there are some inspiring things actually happening during this. Like I said, you know, and you know very well, like coming from Europe, for instance, the picture that folks have of the working class in the United States is one of being disconnected and not particularly progressive or radical, right? But we see during this time, during the quarantine, the biggest strike wave in U.S. history since, you know, the 20s and 30s. I'm talking about dozens of strikes happening where they're shutting the factories down. We're talking about in the GE plant, which builds jet engines, right? The workers went on strike there. And do you know what they demanded, David?
No.
They demanded that they stop building jet engines and they start building ventilators for people. That's a high level, that's an advanced level of radicalism right there, right? You have, you had 13,000 workers on the East Coast, 13,000 carpenters go on strike, right? This, what's happening now is our contradictions are being highlighted. And not only contradictions are being highlighted, people are seeing that they have a way to do something. It's happening all over, and things are developing. So it's exciting right now.
So we are at the right time and at the right place.
We always are in the right time and the right place.
So, Butch, it has been so nice to talk to you after that long time. And I hope we see each other, okay?
Yeah, man.
Well,
I gotta come,
so I hope can
come
see
visit you over there. Yeah, good talking to you, man. All right.
Okay.
Peace.
Estás escuchando el podcast de ContrastMallorca, el Festival de Cine y Música de Palma.
Pues nada, después de haber hablado con Butch, ya llega el momento de despedirnos de este segundo episodio del podcast de ContrastMallorca. Y hoy lo vamos a hacer escuchando un tema de Gissi Malin que ha grabado junto a Lucinda Williams. El tema se llama Room 13. Así que nos vemos en el próximo episodio y a pasarlo bien. ¡Adiós!
faces in the hall. I'm making up my own scene, hanging out in room 13. I pull down the blackout shade and watch the TV start to fade. Deadbolt on the lock, and I unplug the digital clock. Well, I spent some time in a hotel room thinking about love, and I walked away like those others do. Oh, and it's not enough. The walls are paper thin. In the scene, everybody sins. All the liquor stores are closed, and I'm sleeping with the ghosts. Well, I spent some time in a hotel room thinking about love, and I walked away like those others do. Oh, well, it's not enough. I just wanna do the right thing, but I get dragged down on the wrong side. The girl on the telephone, she asked me when I'm coming home, and I'm falling somewhere in between what she says and what she means. It was something that was said before the phone went dead, like the sound of the falling rain in the rumble of a train. Well, I spent some time in a hotel room thinking about love, and I walked away like those others do. Oh, and it's not enough. Thinking about love, thinking about love, thinking